What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Young Rich Podcast. Today, here we are, adjusting my mic a little bit. Again, we have the same background as before. Got a little food in the back. I'm currently in an office, mixing in with a little break room behind me, obviously. So again, still working on figuring out a perfect ideal setup right now with the situations I'm having a little in the middle of a moving office situation. So here we are, studios on the move. Here we but we're gonna get through it anyways. First things first. First and foremost, I want to appreciate everyone who showed me love in the last video. I believe we got about 2.2 thousand, not 2.2 mil. I'd be insane though, but 2,200 views ish. Got about a couple other 250 subscribers ish, so almost a 2K. So again, want to appreciate everyone who showed me love on X, Instagram, my reels on TikTok and YouTube. As always, it's greatly appreciated. But with that being said, today we have a lot of stuff to discuss. We're going to be discussing the future of the Denver Nuggets. We're going to be discussing the San Francisco 49ers and the brand new 7th highest paid quarterback Brock Purdy and his extension. And we're going to be discussing our top 10 NFL QBs going into next year, as well as predicting the NBA Conference Finals, as well as discussing our matchups. I already said that. It's discussing the matchups that will be going on tonight. This should be a very fun video. Obviously, I've been working on a top 10 QBs going into next year, so I'm excited to discuss that. But first things first, we're talking about the Denver Nuggets. I mean, listen, they lost in unremarkable fashion in Game 7. A lot of people were taking Denver Nuggets to win Game 7 due to their veteran presence. You know, they've been in Game 7s before. They know what it's like to win in that type of scenario. So I was expecting them to go out there and to really be able to handle a Game 7, this young OKC team. But you saw what this OKC team did, right? So now the question today is, what is the future of the Denver Nuggets, right? You go out and you play this game, and listen, this like Jokic didn't have a terrible game. You know, Jamal Murray didn't have a great game. Michael Porter Jr., we've seen what he did. Aaron Gordon, I mean, he was not supposed to play today, but he was limping around the court all night, and he gave you his absolute best. So huge respect to him for going out there and putting his body and his career on the line, really, because that could have turned into a major injury, right? They didn't overplay him, which was smart. I mean, you tried to put him in here and there to make a couple runs for his defensive presence. He was rebounding well. He was hitting a couple shots. But I mean, listen, OKC came out here and just shocked me. I believe we shocked a lot of people thinking they were going to be able to dominate like this, right? Because we knew OKC had the talent. We knew that Denver was lacking the depth and the amount of talent that OKC really has, because you have so many guys who could do so many good things on OKC, and on Denver you're really limited. Yet, like, if Jokic doesn't give you a 40-point triple-double and does something historic, you know, you're not really winning these games. And then when Jamal Murray's not on, you know, you need every inch of everybody to perform, right? And you didn't have a good game from Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr. still dealing with that shoulder injury. You know, Aaron Gordon, again, he's not 100%, right? And then Christian Braun went out there and gave you an amazing Game 7, but it didn't matter, right? Because simply you were just outmanned, you know. And when you have a team like OKC with this much energy, you know, not being in Game 7 before, not sure what you're gonna get from them, and to see them go out and play as dominant as they did, I mean, it was just amazing. Because, like, you know, SGA gave you an amazing game. J Dub had a solid game. Chet was doing his thing, right? And listen, this was just a team that was playing with a lot of energy defensively. I mean, listen, they completely changed the game plan. You know, they had a lot of, they were throwing a lot of smaller bodies at Jokic, you know, not letting him get to his spots on the elbow and post up and go to work like he has. So he was seeing a lot of bodies. And when the rest of the Denver Nuggets team is not making shots, it's exactly what's going to happen, right? So when you're not letting Jokic get involved, right? And that's just, you know, that's just how it's going to go sometimes. And that's exactly what happened. And the ball pressure, I mean, listen, Denver ended up with 22 turnovers in Game 7. And for the most part, I mean, listen, OKC's lead was built off these turnovers, right? Well, I think they had 24 points off turnovers for OKC, and that was like majority of the lead for majority of the game. So if you limited those turnovers, you know, this is a very different game. You know, Russell Westbrook was doing Russell Westbrook like things, was being lazy with the ball as at times. And then Jokic, you know, a guy who's not known to turn the ball over, when he has that type of bad game and he's not giving you the same offense because you're not letting him get going, you know, you're begging for somebody else to step up and make a play for you, and nobody did, right? So again, huge congratulations to OKC. I mean, they came out here and really balled. The ball pressure they had. Alex Caruso, I mean, showing why he's a winner, right? Showing why he's a championship level player. And why OKC went out and get him, right? His veteran leadership. I mean, listen, these last two games for Alex Caruso in specific, he's been making shots. His defensive presence, I mean, he's looked like the best defender on OKC these last couple games. And what he's been able to do to limit Jokic and bother him, popping the ball out of his hands, making him rethink, getting steals. It was just, he was playing phenomenal defense these last two games. And when Alex Caruso was playing great basketball, I mean, it's just nothing greater to watch, right? I'm just watching him pick up Jokic, right? But not let him get to his spots in the elbow, not let him get to the post and make plays and make down there. And just forcing their hand, forcing Jokic to make tough passes and make great plays, and nobody was executing. And when you're not executing a game 7 like this, and OKC was on one like they were on one, that's exactly what's going to happen. Because really, I don't think OKC played like amazing on offense. It was the defense that allowed this lead to build up, and it was the constant defensive pressure and their ability to have guys, depth of guys to go out there and play defense and hit a couple big time shots, right? And so when you have that many bodies and Alex Caruso doesn't need to go out there and play, every single minute lined up against Jokic, and you can mix in Isaiah Hartenstein in there, who only played, 18 minutes, I believe, which caught me off guard, really. And to have Chet go in there and not even be guarding Jokic the entire time, to throw more smaller bodies at him, I mean, it was just a great game plan. I mean, they just called an excellent game. And so now when you look at the future of the Denver Nuggets, obviously 2 years ago, you're an NBA champion. Just last year, I mean, you lost to game 7, 2 straight games to Minnesota, and you didn't make it to the conference finals. And then this year, I mean, you fall short of your ultimate goal. And right, you look at Jokic and his entire career, he's kind of been the guy that's looked like, I don't care about basketball. Basketball is my second love. I just want to go raise horses and do things like that, right? You want to spend time with his family, go to his home country and just live his normal life, right? And you've seen that this offseason and the season, right? Jokic no longer, I mean, he's been yelling at his teammates. You've seen that famous clip where he's out here, coaching up his entire team while the new coach is in there, watching him try to coach up the entire team, right? So you just see how much he cares about winning and the product they're putting out there, right? And so it does, he's shown to us that he does want to win. He does want to compete and play meaningful games. And so when you look at this team, Aaron Gordon's playing is one of the best, third options in the NBA. He's an amazing complementary piece to Nikola Jokic, right? Like, he just complements Jokic so well. His defense ability, his ability to rebound, his ability to shoot the three, he can score at all 3 levels. And that when, his ability to be a lob threat as well, like, he's just he's a great player, right? And then you look at Jamal Murray, right? Again, we're looking at that contract of what Jamal Murray got paid, a max contract, and you're looking for a guy who's going to play like a max player, right? And this year in particular, and even last year for the regular season for the most part, it has not been the Jamal Murray that we're accustomed to. Last year, Jamal Murray had his playoff struggles at times, right? You've seen times where he looked human compared to before, where it was like, this guy's amazing, this guy's a superstar, right? And when you pay a guy that type of money, right, and you invest that much money into MPJ, you need every single one of those guys to perform like a superstar. And Jamal Murray was unable to overcome that illness that he had. Michael Porter Jr., again, the shoulder injury, he just never looked the same since that shoulder happened. And then, so it's just, there's a lot of questions now, right? And then you look at some of these young pieces like a Peyton Watson, like a Christian Brown, and like, what's next? Julian Strother, who had some good minutes for him. Obviously in that game 6, came through and won in that game 6, basically, right? So you look at this team and you look at how you could improve for the next year. What can I make? What moves can I make to bring in somebody else and another guy that's going to help this team, right? And I'm looking, right? Obviously the number one thing to do is probably move off that Michael Porter Jr. salary, right? Because he that's a lot of money for one guy who I mean, yes, Michael Porter Jr. is great at what he does. He's going to shoot threes. He's not a defensive liability. He can rebound, right? But that's a lot of money for somebody who just shoots threes and plays defense, right? A 3-and-D type guy, okay? So, unless MPJ hits this new type of ceiling and steps his game up to where, he could be a number 2 or a number 2 option on some nights, but but we all know that Michael Porter Jr. is not going to change the type of player he is. He is who he is. He's a guy that's going to pull up a lot of threes, and when he's not making them, he's kind of just out there, trying to rebound and stuff. So again, like that's the main reason, the main option, or the main piece you can move for salary purposes. But now the question is, who do you bring in there, right? Do you go get a guy like Zach LaVine, who we've heard before, another ball handler, right? Because it's known you need another guy. You need another guy who can go out there and give a break to Jokic and Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray was being pressured, and nobody else was able to take the ball up the court because Jokic is getting a lot of attention. And when you're having Jokic come up and bring the ball to the court every single play, it's just a lot to ask somebody to do, right? And his ability to play make, and you want him to score on offense, right? And if you go against a team that's running and playing fast and that's young and always constantly applying pressure, you need somebody to take that offensive load and make it easier for them, right? And so you look at a guy like Zach LaVine, or you look at a guy who could just go out there, and somebody else who can play make, right? Or not play make, who can get you buckets when you need it, right? And so really, like, there's not like there's that much draft pieces or capital to go out there and upgrade this team drastically, but you still look at this team and you wonder what moves are out there, right? So I don't know specifically who they can go after or how the salaries would match up and who's available and who would be looking to come get traded, right? But I do know that they've got to do something, right? Because this is the second year in a row you fell short in a game 7, right? And it's I think Jokic is just too good to be not making it to the conference finals every year, or not maybe going back to the NBA finals again, right? Like, if you were to tell me Nikola Jokic would only go to one NBA finals his entire career, I would feel like that was a waste of a player, right? And we understand that when you made it to NBA finals, you win one. A lot of guys haven't won one, right? But I think when you're a generational player like him, he's been the best player in the league for the past 6 years maybe, right? And when you're that good and you're that impactful, I do think you should have more finals appearances, Western Conference finals appearances, right? Because outside of that 1 year, they haven't done anything like that, right? So again, I hope they can make a move. I hope they come out here and get somebody else who can give you extra buckets when you need them. A guy like a Zach LaVine, obviously, if you can not have to go after and take on that contract. I think Zach LaVine may have another year on that deal, 2 years on that deal. But maybe you can get a guy like Zach LaVine, a number 3 option who could play defense, right? Who can just help with that defensive pressure. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they add another like two-way wing. You know, we'll see. But hopefully they go get somebody that can help Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in moments like this, because obviously OKC was relentless, and their youthfulness, their energy, their how fast they're moving up the court and how much pride they were taking on applying pressure to Jokic and Jamal Murray. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing, right? And when you have that many fresh bodies coming off the bench and rotating in at key moments, and they're always constantly fresh, that just means you need somebody else to help Jamal Murray out, bring the ball up the court. And so hopefully they can make that move, because I would hate to see Nikola Jokic in his entire career only go to one Western Conference Finals, only one NBA Finals. Because that would, I mean, man, as much as I hate Denver, right, with the whole Lakers, them being the Lakers 2 straight years, I would love to see Nikola Jokic go play in another finals, go play in some more big time games. So hopefully they can make a move and do that. First things first, the San Francisco 49ers have now signed Brock Purdy to a 5-year, $265 million contract, and they included a no-trade clause, $165 million guaranteed in the first 3 years, $53 million per year, an average 7th highest salary for the QB in the NFL, right? And did the 49ers make the right decision here, right? And listen, I've been one to say this before, and I'm not the only one to say this before. Nick Wright, I see eye to eye with him, right? If you don't know who Nick Wright is, obviously co-host of First Things First, and he's made this point before, and I agree with him, right? And I feel the same type of way, is that Brock Purdy to me is another Jimmy G, right? He's an upgrade to Jimmy G. He can do some more stuff off script. He's more athletic. You've seen him use his legs at time, right? And when you look at this team, right, you are now in a situation where you are accolading $53 million a year to your quarterback to make plays, right? And now, listen, right now, San Francisco has what? I think $40-something million before they signed Fred Warner. So now let's say somewhere around, 20-ish million in salary cap left, right? But that's a lot of money allocated to your big stars, right? George Kittle just became the highest paid tight end with what? 4 for 76, $19 million a year. Fred Warner gets a 3-year, $63 million extension, $21 million per year, highest paid linebacker in the league, right? And when you have all these pieces acclimated to at positions, right? You have the highest paid tight end, the highest paid linebacker. You had Bosa, who's one of the highest paid DNs in the league. Trent Williams, one of the highest paid offensive tackles in the league, right? You have acclimated all this money to players trying to maintain winning now or being competitive now, right? And when you accolade this much money to your quarterback, I still question, can he elevate his teammates, right? Because you won't have the same team around you like you had before when you were on a $1 million contract, right? And they were able to add so many different pieces around you. And you see them have to bite the bullet this offseason. They had to let go of Fufanga. They had to let go of countless other key rotational pieces or even starters on defense. They had to get rid of Chardavius Ward, right? So there's a lot of pieces out here where you had to let him go because you knew you were going to pay back Purdy, because you knew you were going to have to bite the bullet on this salary cap and constantly signing everybody and moving money around, right? And now George Kittle, he says, I've been taking the low. I've been giving you the discount all my life. Now I want more money. Boom. Now he's the highest paid. Fred Warner wants to be the highest paid, and he's remarkable at what he does. Highest paid now, right? So now you have all this money accoladed to about 8 or 9 people, right? That's the majority of your salary cap. And when you have a team built like that, right? Yes, I understand $53 million is the 7th highest in QB salary, right? And I do think over time, as the salary cap continues to increase over the next 5 years, we'll look at this contract and he could end up being the 15th or the 14th highest paid QB by the time this extension contract's over, right? But again, I would have waited one more year, because if you wait one more year and you see what he does with it, you could possibly, if he underperformed, you could have possibly got him for a Sam Darnold like deal, a Geno Smith like deal, 40 million, or even I wouldn't say a Baker, because that was a steal when he first signed it, right? But somewhere around that $40 to $45 billion, like, you could have seen what happened and see what he was worth, right? And if he came off this offseason or after the season, you didn't sign him, and he proved that he is going to be worth 60, 65, so be it, right? So be it. If he did something so remarkable this season, like was top 5 in MVP voting, led you back to the Super Bowl, and then you had faith that this guy was going to be your guy in the future, then you would feel okay paying 55, paying 60, right? You would be okay with that because you'd feel confident he'd be able to do what he just did, right? And so now the question becomes, can Brock Purdy elevate his teammates? He needs to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, right? Like, there is no having a down year. When you're getting paid this much money, you have to go out to perform, right? George Kittle is now 31 years old. Fred Warner, I believe he's 28, 29. I think he's 28, right? So he's still fairly young in his prime. Not young, but in his prime, right? Trent Williams, he's aging. He's only going to get older and deteriorate, right? And your team is older. Your team has a lot of age, and like some of the youngest players you had in your team last year, you let go. Hufanga, Chardavius Ward, and other guys like that. So you are aging. You're trying to maintain these guys that have been elite at their position for so long, and you continue to bring them back and invest money in them, right? But age is clear. We know that age is going to play a factor for this team in the next coming years, right? Like, is this team going to be healthy? If Brandon Ayuk, or let's just say a key player gets hurt again, Christian McCaffrey's out for the season again, can Brock Purdy be able to elevate his team, right? You can't invest $53 million and a no trade clause guaranteed into a quarterback that's not playing like a top 10 quarterback, right? And if you give a quarterback the no trade clause, he has to perform, because this could be, if this doesn't turn out well and he just all of a sudden shits the bed and goes downhill and he just continues to regress, this is going to be a huge, obviously, salary cap hit. You're going to have to, figure some stuff out. You're not going to be able to trade him, right? He's going to have to waive that no trade clause and let you trade him, but you already own him $165 million, right? So he's guaranteed to be there, you would think, for 3 years at least, right? Excuse me. So now you need to see if he could elevate his teammates. If Brandon Ayuk doesn't come back from injury 100%, can he help this team, win games, right? And Christian McCaffrey, you've seen the touches that have done, like the touches when they made the Super Bowl, what it did to him the next year, right? He was injury prone. He had multiple injuries, and then he obviously gets hurt with the Achilles injury, or is it the ACL? But he had a season-ending injury, and now you have Brandon Ayuk off the same thing, right? So you had a lot of injuries last year. You had to deal with a lot of things to overcome. And now the Rams are still there. The Rams going to be great, so your division is no longer a cakewalk. You lost to them twice last year, the year before. They beat you in the playoffs the year they won the Super Bowl, right? And so they're still there. They were, I mean, listen, they took the Philadelphia Eagles to the wire. They had they were the toughest matchup for Philadelphia that in that whole playoff run, right? And when you look at that and how good this team can be, Matthew Stafford, I still think is a top 8 quarterback in this league, right? He's a Super Bowl winner. Didn't get enough respect early in his years in his prime due to how bad his team was, obviously, but he was an amazing quarterback, and he's consistently been. Sean McVay, again, his offensive mind and what he's been able to do. And that defense, that young defense that we questioned early on last year, got better and better and better, and now they're a very good young defense, and they're only going to continue to get better, you would assume, right? So your competition is tougher. Seattle, again, I think might be the weakest team in this division. Unfortunately, without Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, I'm not sure what's going on with him. And no offensive line, no run game. You have a lot of holes to fix. So again, this comes down to, can Brock Purdy be a game changer, right? And can he be able to elevate people around him? Can he get the most out of guys like Jawan Jennings? Can he elevate the game of Ricky Fershel? Or if Brandon Ayuk misses some games, or if George Kittle misses some games, or if you lose, Trent Williams, can we go out there and can we see you perform like the way you need to perform, right? So there's a lot of questions, because every time we've seen Brock Purdy go out there with missing somebody, no Deebo Samuel, no George Kittle, no Trent Williams, we've seen the effects and the outcomes, and they're not very good, right? So he has to be able to prove that he could overstep that hurdle and show that he can lead a team on his own without the Avengers around him, right? So again, I think they might have signed him 1 year too early. I would have let him play his contract. I would have forced him to go out there and prove me one more year why he can lead this team and that he can, right? Because last year, as soon as you were missing one or two of your key starters, everything went downhill. Your play went downhill. You went from being in the top 5 quarterback discussion, MVP discussions, to going downhill and having a losing record, right? And everybody's going to say, oh, you need your teammates around you to thrive. And you're damn right you do. But at the same time, there's guys who can elevate their teammates around them, right? Joe Burrow has no defense, and he's going to score 40 points a game damn near, and he was doing that, and his defense was just that bad. Like, we've seen how that turned out, right? And then you look at guys like Jordan Love. Jordan Love doesn't have a true wide receiver 1. Jordan Love doesn't have CMC, and obviously he has Josh Jacobs, who's a great back, but that's just, it's not the same. They don't even have a true wide receiver 1, over there. And so you look at guys like that who can elevate their teams with lesser talent around them. And so I just question if Brock Purdy can do that, right? And when he's limited athletic ability, he's limited when it comes to arm strength and being able to make tough throws, right? And last year, I thought we saw a little bit of recklessness, a little bit of him trying to put the dagger in teams and make some big time plays and show what he's worth, right? And I think it bit him a little bit in the perspective of the public eye. So again, he has to. So again, I would have waited, and hopefully he could figure it out. Obviously, you know what? Fuck the Niners. So it is. I don't care. I don't mind. Right. So that's just how it's gonna go. Kyle Shanahan does a good job of hiding the quarterback flaws that are, we still see, but he does a good job of convincing everybody that Jimmy G was a top 5 quarterback at one point, right? And we see how that turned out. So again, I'm not knocking Brock Purdy. I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but I don't know if he's a 7th best quarterback in the league this year. And the next thing I wanted to get into is the top 10 QBs going into next year, okay? And this is going on resume, last year's playoff runs, last year's regular season, and everything they've done so far. First things first, no rookie quarterbacks will make my top 10 list or my honorable mentions. And the 2 people who are my 4 honorable mentions who did not make the top 10, okay? Number 1, CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud will not make my top 10. Listen, CJ Stroud last year, we could blame his O-line. We could blame the Nico Collins being hurt the first 4 weeks. We could blame Tank Dell being injured. But the offensive line was no good. Bobby Slowick, after that amazing rookie year that he had with CJ Stroud, it just went downhill. They were too predictable. They just got a new OC. And CJ Stroud didn't look great either. So how much of that is the play calling? How much of that is CJ Stroud? And then you look at Bryce Young, who was the guy in the same draft class, and now Bryce Young is heading in the right trajectory, and CJ Stroud's heading downhill. So what CJ Stroud is real, right? Is CJ Stroud the top 6, top 7 quarterback that we all thought he was? Is CJ Stroud having a sophomore slump, or is this CJ Stroud that we're going to be more accustomed to? Did he just have an amazing rookie year and everything's going to go back downhill, right? So again, I just need him to prove it to me. I don't have enough years to really say what we expect or what we know he is. And so with that being said, he's still young, so I'm putting him in honorable mention. Another honorable mention, we're going to have Brock Purdy. Again, listen, last year, all his guys get injured. Not all his guys, but he has a couple injuries of the main Avengers, and he doesn't perform relatively well. So I need to see what he can do, especially getting this pay increase. Now you're getting paid $53 million. You have to go out there and show what you're about, okay? Geno Smith's going to play for the Las Vegas Raiders. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 10 quarterback discussion by the end of this year. You gave him an amazing running back, right? The last 4 running backs drafted in the first round: Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Ezekiel Elliott, and Saquon Barkley. All the guys, they're all fucking legendary running backs, right? Who are, I think they're top 10 picks. All 10 of those guys, or 5 of those guys, were top 10 picks, and they're all amazing, right? So I'm assuming Ashley Denty's going to be great. You have Brock Bowers, you have Jacoby Myers, who's a great receiver, very underrated, and I think he's in a better situation than he was in Seattle, right? You have Seattle, you had one of the worst rushing offenses in the league, one of the worst O-lines in the league, and you had one of the worst rush defenses in the league, which allowed your defense not to get many stops, right? And when you're forcing Geno Smith to throw the ball 34 times a game, that's not a winning recipe for success. I think he's a guy that if you go out there and allow him to throw the ball 26 or 28 times a game, that's when he's at his best. He's still great. I mean, I think he still did a very good job with what he had in Seattle, and so I expect him to be amazing this year. Justin Herbert, listen, you could not have both your 2 playoff games be that damn bad, okay? Your last year, you lose to Houston, 4 interception game. You get eliminated to Houston Texans, who we were worried if they were going to fall off a cliff. Like, we already knew they fell off the cliff, but we thought they were just built to get their ass whooped in the first round, and you proved us wrong, Justin Herbert. You proved us that you're not who everyone thinks you are, who guys that glaze you and put you in the top 5 quarterback discussion. You're not him, right? Last year, you didn't have the numbers that we expected you to have. You were a run-first team. Jim Harbaugh took the ball out of your hands. Very similar to Josh Allen in Buffalo the year they finally went on that run after starting on a slow start, right? They took the ball out of your hands. They wanted you just not to turn the ball over, not have to throw too much the ball crazy downfield. And everyone's going to say it was a lack of receivers. Quentin Johnston's not very good. Listen, he has had 3 years that either ended in heartbreak or weren't good, right? He had the 4 interception game this year. Last year, you were injured most of the season, so we didn't really get to see you half the second half of the season. The year before that, you make the playoffs and you lose to Trevor Lawrence in the way you did, blowing a 28-point lead after you do 4 first-half picks, okay? Get out of there with that shit. Number 10, my number 10 quarterback going into the 2025 season, Jared Goff. Listen, I know, understand what happened in the playoff game, right? Losing to Washington the way they did was unacceptable. But listen, at the end of the day, this guy led one of the highest scoring offenses in football. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. You have a great O-line, Penny Sewell, right? And then you also have JMO, right? You just have so many explosive weapons on offense and what you're able to do. You lost your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator. So how is this team going to look going forward, right? Is the OC going to be able to pick up and still elevate this team, right? Jared Goff did an amazing job last year. He was in top 5 quarterback discussions. There was whispers about MVP. He was playing at a phenomenal level. And I'm not blaming him for the playoff loss, because we all knew that defense had so many damn injuries. I mean, 12 people on injured reserve by the end of the season? Absolutely insane. You're calling people off their fucking couch to get on the team. That's how down bad you were, right? So again, that's number 10. Number 9, Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts. Listen, I'm not going to be here and say Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. I'm not going to say it. I never will, and I never felt this way. He's going to be number 9. Listen, he was a beneficiary of the system. Listen, his 2 best games of his life were both in Super Bowls. I get it, right? He was amazing in the Super Bowl twice against the same team. He got his revenge this second game, and they literally forced him to make plays. They said, we are not going to let Saquon Barkley beat us, and that's exactly who they stopped. So if you're not the first point of emphasis of them trying to slow you down, if you're not their biggest threat on your own offense, I can't put you in the top 5, top 8 discussion, right? If you're not the best player in offense, I can't put you there. Saquon Barkley carried this team, historic season. He almost had a chance to go for the record, right? Like, listen, Saquon Barkley was the front runner of this offense. He was amazing. And if you look at Jalen Hurts' last 2 regular seasons, he hasn't been amazing. He hasn't been great. And even in the playoff runs, he was only great in the Super Bowl. And I get it. The Super Bowl's the Super Bowl. That's when you want to be great. But when a team sells out to stop the best player on the team, which is your running back, and they let you have one-on-one matchups everywhere across the field, I don't think that's top 5 quarterback play. If you're not the main focal points on offense, I don't think you should be in the top 5 discussion. That being said, getting into number 8, Jordan Love. Okay, listen, hear me out here. He dealt with the knee injury, and he even said himself, his ability to move and his mobility that he normally has it wasn't there for him, right? That knee just messed him up. He wasn't able to move like he used to be and use his athletic ability like you've seen him do, get outside the pocket. That aspect was taken away from his game. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, right? We're still trying to figure out who Jordan Love is. After that one great second half of the season, we're still trying to figure out, is that Jordan Love? Is that where he is? Can he get better, right? And I still think he's going to be great, right? I still think they're going to be a playoff team year in and year out with Jordan Love as that quarterback, right? And if you look at this team, right? Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, I'm missing one, but I can't think of the other guy, the other receiver, right? But you don't have a true wide receiver 1, okay? You don't have a true wide receiver 1, and now you go out there, you go get a guy like Golden from Texas, right, to go out there and throw into that offense, which I think you needed. I think you needed to go get a guy like Golden to throw him into that offense, spend a first-round pick, and invest in on offense at that receiver position. You have Josh Jacobs, who I think is an amazing back. I think he's going to have another amazing year. You have a great O-line. You have a great head coach. I still think he could elevate this team. And now that you gave him another, hopefully, wide receiver 1 on this team, I think there's a lot of upside for this team. I think it's there. I think he does the most in that division when it comes to elevating his teammates, right? And so when a guy can elevate his teammates like that, I just think of the world of it, right? Because this was a very similar receiving core to what what's his name? Aaron Rodgers had his last year in Green Bay, right? And he elevated these guys. He had these guys to hit another level, right? And none of them are true wide receiver 1s again. So I'm still hoping Matthew Golden pays out, and if he can pan out and be a good wide receiver 1, this team has a lot of improvements to make and can make a lot of noises here at the front of Jordan Love. Number 7, Matthew Stafford. Okay, listen, Matthew Stafford just lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. They took him down on the wire, right? That was the closest game of the postseason. Again, he's a Super Bowl MVP. Last year, I thought he played very, very well. He's older, right? So I don't need him to put up crazy numbers. I don't need him to be top 5 in passing yards or passing touchdowns anymore, right? Use Kyron Williams, run the ball, get the ball to Puka Nacua, right? Now you're bringing a guy like Devontae Adams, who I think still has so much great football left. You'll be very surprised on how good of a season he has, right? I still think the last 2 years have just been a bad rap for him, right? And it's not his fault. He's been put in some bad situations, asking to get traded to the Jets. That's on him, right? But I still think there's so much room for him to shine, right? Didn't get the contract he wanted, so now he's trying to play for getting that last major contract as he's getting up there in age. But I think it's a match made in heaven. You bring him back. You still added draft picks, right? You're still adding to that defense. You add to that offense. Now the defense is playing well. Now you got the defense playing at a competitive level, at a championship level, right? So again, I still think they can make some moves here and there to really, add some salt or some sugar to this team. But again, I still think he's the 7th best quarterback going into next year. Number 6, Baker Mayfield, man. I mean, the discussion needs to be had, okay? His defense last year was not good. It was not great at all. They gave up a lot of yards, a lot of points, and in that first playoff game when they lost to Jaden Daniels, if Baker Mayfield didn't score on one drive, which was the fumble, I believe is what he had, right? He fumbled one time and the game was over. It was as simple as that. He played perfect football the entire game. He made one mistake that wasn't even really on him. It just happens, right? I'm not gonna knock him for it. And that was all she wrote because that defense could get no stops. And yes, Jaden Daniels was playing at an absolute elite level, but Baker Mayfield was playing phenomenal this year. I mean, listen, 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, and your defense wasn't good. And he did half that season without Chris Godwin. Like, this was amazing for them to add him there. And then you add Emeka Ibuka, and then you also have Jalen McMillan, who had some great games last year. You have Bucky Irving, who I think is going to be even better this year. Rashad White, there's a number 2 back. Hopefully they can get more out of him this year. But I absolutely love this team. You have a good old line. You could run the ball. You have so many great weapons. Ibuka, I think, easily can be the best receiver in this draft. That's how good he is, right? So I'm very excited to see them play this year. I love watching Baker Mayfield play. And again, in that division they're in, outside of Carolina, I really think those two teams are the ones going to make some noise this year. So again, that's where I got him at number 6. Number 5, we have Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year, his historic rookie year. He beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Detroit Lions, and unfortunately fell short of the NFC Championship to the eventual Super Bowl champions. But listen, you had a poor defense. You had a poor run game, okay? The secondary came through a little bit towards the second half of the season, but this team was nowhere near where it needed to be to win a Super Bowl. And you were able to play so damn amazing on offense all year long that he deserves to be in his top 5 quarterback discussion, right? This was very similar to what CJ Stroud did, but this guy won 2 playoff games. Like, if he would have ran into anybody else in the NFC Championship game, it's arguable to say he could have won. He could have made it to a Super Bowl as a rookie if he ran into anybody else other than Philadelphia, right? And so, again, I think he was amazing last year. His ability to run the ball and extend plays, and he didn't look to run the ball first, which was, again, amazing, right? And then you see him in the playoffs start using his feet more, and his ability to make every throw, he played amazing. And outside of, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, who else was really anybody else you could throw the ball to? You were really limited on who you could get the ball to, and when you have that type of aspect and there's nobody else helping, I think there's a lot of room to grow for this team. But his offense, your run game was okay, wasn't amazing, right? So you're hoping you can get more from Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson, right? So again, this team has so much more they could improve on, right? Get a wide receiver to improve that run game, right? And now you made some trades, you added to that O-line, right? You want to get Jaden Daniels some more protection. I just think this kid's so damn good, and what he did last year was just remarkable. Number 4, we have Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Listen, I don't even need to speak on Lamar Jackson. Regular season record, amazing. He got over the hump and started beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Perfect. Amazing. Exactly what we needed. He still owns that division when he had a remarkable season. Completion percentage, touchdowns, passing yards, running the ball, and all that behind Garrett with Derrick Henry underneath you. What an amazing year. Didn't even have to overuse him in the regular season. This team is just so scary, so dynamic. Again, I question his ability in the playoffs. That's it. He's got to do something in the playoffs. You can't have your worst game all season be in the playoffs every single year. And at some point, we have to knock him for that, right? Because listen, to me, regular season is not everything. And I know everybody says you could be great, you could be historic, and without winning a Super Bowl and just being dominant in the regular season. That's not how I look at it. You have to have some playoff success. You have to make it to a Super Bowl. And I know his career is far from over. He's still very, very young. He hasn't even technically hit his prime yet, I would say. There's 8 years, 28, 27 to 29-ish, So, again, he's number 4 for me. I just think there's lack of playoff success, man. And then number 3, we have Josh Allen. Listen, if this guy played anybody other than Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, this guy would be in multiple Super Bowls already. And that just so happens how it is. Like he's denying Patrick Mahomes is denying so many people Super Bowl appearances, right? But if Lamar Jackson was in the NFC, who's to say, Josh Allen was in the NFC, who's to say he's not already been there twice? Would he eventually lost to whoever came out the AFC? Maybe if it was Patrick Mahomes, but if anybody else can beat the Chiefs, I feel confident saying the Buffalo Bills will make the Super Bowl. And obviously, the Chiefs don't lose many playoff games. They don't really get upset like that too many times, right? So you just have to be the better team like Philadelphia was in the Super Bowl, right? But right? There's a lot of talking this offseason. Brian Dawkins made some comments about the Chiefs saying we could have done better than that, but you know, you got to prove it. You've had so many opportunities to prove it, but you haven't, right? So again, he's got to be number 3 for me. You've got to eventually he just won his first MVP. Eventually, you got to get this team over the hump. So for me, he's number 3. Number 2, Joe Burrow, man. Come on. Let's be so real, okay? Let's not knock somebody for his team being so absolutely dog shit, okay? This defense is horrific, okay? He's made it to a Super Bowl already, which is more than Josh Allen, more than Lamar Jackson, right? Matthew Stafford's been to 1 Super Bowl, right? Jordan Love's never been to a Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield's never been to a Super Bowl. Jaden Daniels, rookie year's never been to a Super Bowl, okay? But this guy made it to the Super Bowl, which is more than all 3 of those guys behind him. Okay, last year he was top 3 in passing yards, and he was remarkable last year. Okay, he had absolutely no defense. This defense was historically bad, right? And now you see them address every single pick on defense to go help Joe Burrow, right? And I would absolutely hate to see Joe Burrow go out here and waste his career in Cincinnati if they're not going to build a team around him, a competent team around him. You just signed Jamar Chase. You just signed T. Higgins. Listen, I understand you want to see more quarterback wins, but in his case, he's already been to a Super Bowl. Okay, he's been top 5, top 3 in quarterback discussions every single year he's here. And if you look at his sheer numbers, he's amazing. He just watch his film. He's been slinging the ball, reading defenses. He put up 40 points against every single one of those teams in the AFC North, excuse me. Baltimore, whose defense came around and looked amazing. He did it against Pittsburgh, who was a team that was like not giving up a lot of points, and he absolutely cooked. Like, this guy has done so much this year. Surely had the ability just to throw the ball, and with like the Chase Brown was okay, it wasn't great. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, there's just so much talent here, and it's gonna be a repeat of last year. I understand they're probably not gonna make a deep playoff run. They're just hoping to get into the playoffs. But again, I just think this guy's playing such good high-level football. It's so hard to knock him because the manager or the owner can't fucking build a competent team around him, right? And number 1, we have Patrick Mahomes. I mean, again, until somebody else challenges that throne at the top, I don't think it's even debatable. So let me know what y'all think about my top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL today. Yeah, I think it's a pretty darn good list. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree in the comments below. The final thing I wanted to discuss in today's episode, predicting the NBA conference finals, okay? We have the Knicks and Pacers kicking off tomorrow on Wednesday, right? And when you look at this matchup, I mean, listen, 2 new possible champions, 2 guys with the Pacers have been to a finals before, but the Knicks having a chance to make it to another finals. Jalen Brunson has a chance to put himself in the New York legend, be the greatest New York Knick of all time, right? And when you look at this team, Jalen Brunson is, he's being debated as a top 10 player. He's not like a top 5 player. None of that, okay? Mikal Bridges, who invested 5 first-round picks. OG Anunoby, you've seen what they did to bring him over there from Toronto, right? And you've seen what they invested in him when they paid him this offseason, okay? The New York Knicks have the opportunity to do something legendary, okay? We seen this story last year when they played the Indiana Pacers, right? They just fell off. Their bodies died on them. They were unable to walk out of that Game 7 healthy, okay? And I'm not blaming anyone there, okay? It just so happened to be that way. You got worn down and you couldn't do it. Your body physically would not let you do it. So I'm praying for good health here. But listen, when you talk about the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, the big key points for me is who's going to give you buckets? Who do I trust more to give me buckets? Is it going to be Tyrese Halliburton or is it going to be Jalen Brunson? Okay, and right now it's Jalen Brunson, obviously. He's been an amazing postseason performer. He gets his bucket when he needs it. Clutch play of the year. Fourth quarter comes around. He's dialed in, right? And then when you look at what OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges have been able to do defensively, offensively, this team looks very, very scary. And you've been getting better versions of Karl-Anthony Towns. He's been playing better on defense, being more active defensively, getting those boards. And what Mitchell Robinson's been able to do, this team, 1 through 5, that's 5 to 7 man rotation. I think is better than Indiana Pacers. Okay, and that's no knock to the Indiana Pacers, but I think for the Pacers now, they've been doing that 9 to 10 man rotation. Even guys like Jarossi Walker has been getting minutes, making some points. TJ McConnell O'Connell is going to be getting in there, right? Like, there is just so many guys getting into this game that I think you're going to have to limit your rotation and up the minutes for some of these guys, right? Which to me is a red flag for cardio. Can the Indiana Pacers want to play fast and run, right? Can they maintain that type of pace and that type of pressure while playing as many minutes needed to do that, right? And listen, if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play aggressive this game, if he's okay with just passing up shots, the Indiana Pacers have no chance. Simple as that. Tyrese Halliburton has to be the aggressor this game. He has to go out here and attack and get buckets and be a little selfish early on, because he needs to be the guy. We've seen him when he chooses to go get buckets, he's done it. He's proved me wrong. I'm out here talking shit on Twitter, talking about his game. He's not being aggressive enough. He's only taken 4 shots in the first 4 quarters. The first 4 quarters with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then that 6 minutes comes left. Bucket, step back 3-game winner. Like, when he's on, he's on. When he wants to get buckets, he's getting buckets. So if we can get the version of Tyrese Halliburton where he's coming out here and he's going to be attacking, trying to get to the free throw line, creating for himself and not being unselfish. Be selfish, be more aggressive, be more me, right? Because these guys know you're the best player on their team. Everyone on your team looks at you as the best player on your team. Your coaches know you're the best player on the team. You know you're the best player on your team. So go out there and dominate and be the best player on your team. Okay? That is the key to winning this series. And for the New York Knicks, I mean, listen, you just beat the Boston Celtics. You go out there and you apply that same type of game plan, right? You play the exact same way. Obviously, get off to better starts than you would like. If you go down to a team like the Pacers, I do think they're a team that can get out there and run, and you're not gonna ever see that lead again because they play so fast. They'll trade buckets. At that time, it's offense. So again, control the pace of the game if I'm the New York Knicks, right? Jalen Brunson, I expect him to come out here and have a legacy fucking series. All right, I expect Jalen Brunson to go cook this entire game 7, this entire 7-game series. But then now it comes down to, can the New York Knicks win a championship, right? And I do think they can. It is in the palm of their hands right now. The New York City, the city of New York, the New York fans that are on talking trash to Tyrese Halliburton, to Indiana Pacers fans after the game in the Garden, right? Or to the city of New York, right? And everybody who's on TikTok and Twitter talking about the New York Knicks, this is our year to win a championship. This is it. The Boston Celtics are gone. The Cleveland Cavaliers are gone. Denver Nuggets are gone, right? And now for the first time in so long, 4 new teams have the chance to be first-time NBA championships and historic things to happen for both teams, right? So when you look at these matchups, when you look at the New York Knicks and what they can do, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for them to win the series. And Jalen Brunson can have a chance to cement himself in the NBA, like not Hall of Fame, but like NBA legacy, right? He will go down as a New York Knicks legend. He will go down as one of my favorite players. This will be one of my favorite playoff runs if he can go out there and finish the job, right? And so again, I think this has to be a Jalen Brunson series. I think Karl-Anthony Towns has to take advantage of his size against Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner, right? I think this could be a huge cat series, and if we get a huge cat series, I think the New York Knicks are a very hard team to stop. Okay, so the key, X factor for me has got to be Karl-Anthony Towns. Can he dominate the boards again? Can he be aggressive? Can he go get his shots? Can he not hide in the fourth quarter? Can he go out there, be aggressive, and play? Right? And yeah, man. I mean, let me know who y'all got in that series. And the last series, obviously, I want to talk about is OKC versus Minnesota. Who do you like coming out of this series, right? You look at Minnesota, defensive-oriented team. They played Golden State without Steph. Looked a little sluggish, right? In majority of those games, right? That first half in game 5, was it? Or for game 4 was probably their best game, like half of basketball the entire series, right? And then you look at how they played against the Lakers. They didn't play good in the closeout game versus the Lakers. The Lakers were just worse, okay? And so now you look at OKC, what they did in game 7. their ball pressure, their depth, their ability to shoot the three with 8 to 9 guys, right? Their ability that everybody can go out there and give you high quality defense, So when somebody comes out like Alex Caruso comes off the court or a Lou Dort comes off the court, you have somebody else that's capable of playing defense and making shots and getting in there, right? So again, this is going to be a SGA type series. I expect, can you get some more from? I think SGA is going to play phenomenal in every series he steps into. And I think stepping into every series, he's going to be seen as the best player in that series. But the question for OKC is, can we get a Chet Holmgren game? Can we get a J Dub game? Can somebody else give us some production? Can Lou Dort hit 3 more threes? Can we trust that reality? Can we trust that recipe? Can we trust Alex Caruso to give us 4 in a game? Where are we gonna get the shooting from? Where are we gonna get the other scoring from? Because again, J Dub had a great closeout game versus Denver, right? A great game 7. Chet had a good game 7. So now the question is, who is going to consistently give you offense? Because with Minnesota, yes, they're a defense oriented team, but you also have Naz Reid, who has pop off potential. We've seen what he's done in the playoffs, especially at home, right? So that's a guy that's the Minnesota's X factor. When you have Naz Reid going out there getting you buckets off the bench, making 3 threes, 2 threes a game, his presence there and what he's able to do defensively and play that stretch 5 bit role and still be able to be a great defender when Gobert's not on the court. He's my X factor for Minnesota. And you look at a guy like Dante DiFrancesco. Can he get hot? Can he get going, right? Because they could really use him, right? Jaden McDaniels, is he still going to be aggressive? Is he going to be out here? And is he going to continue to try to get his shots going? Okay, Anthony Edwards, we know what you're gonna do. Mike Conley, I mean, again, he had a couple good games here and there, a couple great stretches during games, really. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm leaning Minnesota here strictly because I don't know who else I can trust to get buckets for OKC. I don't know if I can trust J Dub in a 7 game series again to go out here and do what he did, right? Because when they played Denver, they got away with the fact that they dealt with Jamal Murray had bad games. Jokic didn't have his dominant series that we're used to seeing him have, right? So when you have those things to kind of cancel out when you're looking at the scoreboard, who's giving you buckets perspective, I don't know if J Dub can consistently give me buckets to a 7 game series. He hasn't played amazing. He hasn't played horrible the whole entire time, but he's had moments throughout the playoffs where he's played good. He's had stretches throughout games. And then Chet Holmgren. Like, who's going to be the guy that's going to help SGA? Because there's games where we go out there and it looks like it's SGA versus everybody. If SGA is not giving you buckets, nobody else is giving you buckets. And maybe they got to be more, maybe somebody like Chet's got to be more aggressive on offense. Maybe J Dub's got to do the same, be more me, try to get something going early on and get them more in rhythm. But my question is, who's going to give you buckets? Because if I'm Minnesota and you guys are going to rely on Alex Caruso or Lou Dort to hit 4 threes a game or have those type of pop-off games to beat us, we like our chances there, right? So if I'm Minnesota, I'm liking the way I'm going into the series. Even though we're starting on the road, we feel comfortable going into Oklahoma City, and splitting on the road, right? We've done it already twice, and so we feel confident doing that again, right? And man, oh man, oh man, this series is gonna be a banger series. But I gotta lean Minnesota here. I think Minnesota is going to win here. This could be a 6 game series, in my opinion. Again, the same thing I said about Denver. If with Denver OKC, you don't want to go to 7 because you don't want to play that team at home. So if I'm Minnesota, I want to win a 6. I want to win at home, right? You don't want to be forced to go game 7 on the road. I know Minnesota did last year, but we just seen what Oklahoma City did to Denver, who we all thought had a good chance to win that game. Absolutely, took their hearts away from them and stepped on their throats and didn't ever let up, right? So who's going to be able to help SGA? Who's going to be able to help Anthony Edwards? Because Anthony Edwards is going to be in the same type of situation. Who's going to be able to bring the ball up the court outside of Anthony Edwards? Is it going to be Mike Conley? Jaden McDaniels? We're not making him bring the ball up the court with all that constant pressure that OKC has and brings up the court. Who do we trust to help? It really comes down to, in this series, in my opinion, which role players are going to perform. Is it going to be Nas Reed? Is he going to have a legacy series? Is it going to be, Chet Holmgren, J Dub? Like, who's going to support their star? Because we know the superstars are going to get going. We know Anthony Edwards is going to get buckets. We know SGA is going to go for 30. But who's going to help those players? Who's going to make game changing plays? Okay. And that's really what it comes down to me. So for me, I think it's going to be Minnesota in 6, right? Simply due to the youth. I think that they didn't get bit in the ass that much against Denver because Denver's not as great of a team as they've been in the past, right? They've kind of regressed year in and year out. But Minnesota, on the other hand, has continued to thrive and get better and better throughout this regular season. And when you have Julius Randle playing the way he is, this could be a Julius Randle series for all we know, right? And if it's him versus Chet, Julius Randle will get downhill. He's going to get his buckets and get to the free throw line. And his bigger body is going to attack Chet. The skinnier Chet, right? His frame could become an issue here again. So, again, I'm leaning Minnesota here in 6, simply due to the depth, and I'm not sure who else is going to go get buckets in the clutch for OKC, right? So, I'm leaning Minnesota here. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. But with that being said, that was the last thing I was going to discuss of the day. Thank you for listening to today's episode 71. With that being said, if you're watching this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure to follow the show, give it a 5-star rating as it helps the algorithm. And if you like the content, make sure to tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And if you don't already, I'm going to have my Discord and TikTok and link in the comment section below. With that being said, see ya.